everyone, welcome back to In Bed with Brooke, episode 6. So we're going to pick up where we left off in chapter 2. And right before in the other video, Slater had been looking at an album cover, so we'll start at that paragraph. So a little hairspray and some eyeliner to pull together a look was one thing, but full-on girly makeup? Hell no. Slater Hart didn't need some gimmick to get the attention of the world. He had his voice and his moves on stage, and above all, he had the drive to make his dream happen. He killed time hanging out with Derek for a few hours, helping him clean up at closing time. "You don't have to help me, man." Slater shrugged. "It's no big deal. I remember how shitty it was to close this place." "Well, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?" Derek turned out the lights and set the alarm and locked the door behind them. "Good to see you tonight. Don't be a stranger, and I'll see you at the show on Saturday." Asking for help wasn't his strong suit, but Slater also knew that the worst someone could tell him was no. "Hey, I need a place to crash tonight. Any chance I can hang with you?" "Sorry, Slater," Derek said regrettably. "I'm heading to my girlfriend's house right now, and she'll read me the riot act if I bring someone along." Slater waved his excuse away. "It's no big deal. I'll figure something out." "Okay, well, hey, next time you need a place to stay, hit me up. If I'm not too busy, you can stay with me." "Cool, thanks." They shook hands and said goodbye. Slater leaned against the outside of the building, watching Derek get in his car and leave. He sent him a nod of acknowledgement when he drove by. Looking around the parking lot, he saw other businesses turning out their lights and locking up for the night. "Guess it's a park bench for you tonight, Hart," he muttered to himself and headed toward a local common. He refused to be sad or discouraged about his situation. He had chosen this life. As he walked, he let his mind wander, thinking about the mansion he would one day own with a garage full of fancy cars and closets filled with clothes and shoes. He simply had to pay his dues. He would never admit it out loud, but right now he felt like he had overpaid his damn dues and he was ready for a break. He kept his distance from the park when he saw some cops kicking people off the benches for the night. "It looks like I'm not the only one needing a place to stay," he thought. He waded across the street, hiding halfway behind a tree and watching as the police got back in their car and drove off. When the coast was clear, he walked deep into an area of the park that was thick with trees. Not a stranger to using his bag as a pillow, he laid it against the base of the tree and propped his head against it. He prayed sleep would come quickly. Unfortunately, sleep eluded him like it did on most nights. His mind raced with song ideas. It was times like this he wished he had access to a piano so he could hear the notes out loud that were swirling around in his head. He thought of Alex and the baby grand in her condo. What he wouldn't give to feel those keys under his fingers. It had been years since he had played on a grand. His mouth watered at the memory of the sound of the timbre of the strings and the frequencies that could resonate through a room when he played fluidly. "That's another thing I'll have in my house, a beautiful baby grand piano." "Shit," he thought out loud. "While I'm dreaming about it, I'm gonna have more than one in my mansion. In fact, I'll have one in every fucking room in the house. Slater Hart, the rock star, can have whatever he wants." Slater scowled as he heard a rumble, irritated with the interruption of his daydream. Was that a truck, he wondered? He sat up and looked around for the noise. Shrugging his shoulders, he settled back down, and he heard it a few minutes later, sitting up again, trying to figure out what the noise was. Earthquake, he thought? He shook that off when he didn't feel any shaking of the ground. Lying back down, he put his arms behind his head, closed his eyes, and willed his body to relax. His eyes opened when he heard the sound once more, and trying to ignore it, he closed his eyes, snapping them open yet again when he felt the moisture on his face. He sat up, resting his hands on his knees and shaking his head. The rumble hadn't been a truck or an earthquake. It was loud thunder, accompanied with rain. Lots of hard rain that started pouring down on him quickly. "You've got to be fucking kidding me," he grumbled. Slater rarely felt defeated, but right now he felt like life was kicking him in the nuts. He was tired, he was hungry, and now he was cold and wet. The $20 in his pocket sure as hell wouldn't take care of a hotel room, and he had nobody to turn to. Well, almost nobody, he thought, as Alexandra popped into his head again. He hadn't been using. He'd made sure to tell her that. She'd thrown him out anyway just because he was part of their group. What if he went back by himself? She seemed cool. She also seemed reluctant to see him go. Would she hear him out and let him in? Would she even answer her damn door? The worst she could tell him was no, so it was worth a shot. He slipped his bag over his shoulder and ran across the street as he saw the bus pull up. Thankful he made it in time, he sat back, soaking wet, waiting for the right stop. He took the time during the ride to think about what he wanted to say to her if she answered the door for him. It was still pouring when he got off the bus across the street from Alex's condo. Running through the rain to the entrance, he cursed out loud when he saw the security gate. He had totally forgotten about it. Fuck, he snapped, looking around for another way in. He remembered Matt had dialed her up on this thing earlier. He wasn't about to do that. If she was going to shut him down, he wanted to at least have a face-to-face chance with her. Slater knew how intimidating he looked, but he also knew how to pour on the charm when needed. He had his jacket on, and that hid his tattoos, so he was good there. There was nothing he could do about his long red hair, but a flash of his smile and a wink at the right person usually worked wonders. He saw a woman who looked to be in her late 40s or early 50s exit the gate. He put his smile in place and walked right up to her. "Excuse me, ma'am." The woman turned in the direction of his voice, startled at first, but smiled back when he grinned at her. "I'm wondering if you can help me. I'm Alexandra Lorraine's cousin here to visit her, and I just got into town. I've been trying to call her," he gestured toward the security panel, "but her line is busy. I'm guessing she's on the phone with my mom, wondering where I am. The rain kind of slowed me down." "Oh, you poor thing," the woman exclaimed, taking in his appearance. She was under her umbrella and wanted to hurry to her car, but she was never too quick to let strangers into the gate. "You're her cousin?" He nodded at her. "I thought her grandmother only had one son." Oh shit, he thought, doing some quick thinking. "On her grandfather's side. We haven't seen each other in years. Would you mind opening the gate for me? I'm starting to turn into a prune from the rain." He went in for the kill and winked at her while he smiled. It worked like a charm. "Of course, here you go." She swiped something in front of the gate, causing it to beep and pop open. "Enjoy your visit and tell Alexandra Mrs. Morton said hello." "I will. Thank you, Mrs. Morton." He smiled at her again and stepped inside the gate, sending her another wave of thanks as he pulled it closed behind him. That damn wink works every time, he thought, shaking his head. Well, almost every time. He had a feeling it wouldn't work on Alex. He prayed the truth would work on her. He was chilled to the bone and had no idea what he would do if she turned him away. Climbing the stairs to the 3rd floor, Slater stood in front of the door to her home, took a deep breath, and knocked. And that's the end of chapter 2. So we'll stop here for this one and move on to chapter 3 in the next video. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and I'll put in the comments below the link on where to buy the books, also the link to my website. So be sure to subscribe for more videos and leave me a positive comment and like the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.